Hi everyone and welcome to Club 2 episode 6 of Rolling in the Isles, an FM22 British Isles Journeyman series with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So we've reached the halfway point almost in our season. After today's match, the league splits off into an upper and a lower group for the rest of the season. We've secured our position in that top group, which is fantastic. Today is all about getting 3 points and trying to keep ourselves in the playoff spots. Let's see how we get on. Welcome back to Ballinamallard in Northern Irish second tier. We're in the Championship. As I say, we've made it to almost the halfway point of the season. We've played 21 matches. Our opponent today are the team directly below us, Loughgall, and they sit on 20 games played. So we're 1 point clear of them. If we could win today, that means whatever they do in their game over us, then we would still remain ahead of them. It's quite important to be able to do that, I think. There's 3 teams directly behind us in this top 6, all 2 points behind us in the league. And we're currently 3 points behind Carrick, who sit in second place. Newry are pretty much home and dry already, really, even at this point in the season. They're dominating. So you can see it's very close. The second half of the season where this league splits off, this top 6 are going to have some real battles, I would imagine. Let's see if we can go into that section playing pretty good and getting some momentum behind us. Easy for me to say. So before we properly get into today's match, there are a couple of little things that are going on at the moment. So you'll see down in our squad list here, there's a couple of ineligible players for today's match. That's because they're just about to be released from the club. McCorgill, who is a wide player for us, plays primarily on the left-hand side, hasn't really played that much for us, to be honest. He's on his way out. He just doesn't warrant a new contract, to be honest. And the other guy is this guy, Clark. He's a pretty reasonable player in some areas, but the physicals have gone down the pan really because he's 37 years old and he's going to be retiring soon as well. So again, it just wasn't practical for us to renew his contract. So those two are going out of the club. Now, we also lost one of our central defenders. We had 2 players in on loan. Dealey is one of those. He's going to be playing today because McCann isn't quite fit enough to do so. But we also had a second player, Kelly, on loan, but his parent club got a bit cross because I wasn't using him in the way they said. So in the end, they recalled him back from the loan. So to fill some of these gaps, because we've got a reasonably big squad anyway, to fill some of these gaps, I brought a couple of youngsters up from our under-19 squad. So the first one is actually going to be on the bench today. This guy was in my reserves, Rory Keane, and he can cover both right and left side of midfield. Now, at 20 years old, I'd want an awful lot more from him to be a proper prospect, but we're going to give him a little bit of game time here and there through the second half of the season. We'll see whether he's got anything about him. His contract is going to be up soon, so I'll be renewing that probably in the next couple of months. So he's got 6 months basically to prove himself and see whether he can cope at this level of football. We shall see, but it's going to be an interesting one. A new young prospect into the squad. The other one that we brought up, I think, is this guy. It is indeed 16-year-old Thomas Stewart, right the way down from my under-19s. And you can see why I've brought him in, even at 16, for the level we're playing at. 13 determination and 14 in tackling as a central defender. He's got some other gaps that we can work on, but primarily this guy's got a lot of potential, I hope, and we'll give him a little bit of game time here and there when it's appropriate to do so and see whether we can find a new superstar moving forward. So those are the couple of players I've brought up into the first team squad. There's a couple of guys there that will be leaving, and all of that means that for today, the only player we've got missing out of our squad really that should be playing is Callum Moorhead, our right-sided midfielder. He's just not fit. He's been injured for the last couple of weeks, so we're going to have to take it a little bit carefully with him. Crook plays in his place today instead. So for today's match against Loughgall in the league, seeing if we can keep hold of those playoff places, we've got Williamson in goal, Carey at right back, Curry at left back, Armstrong and Dealey in central defence, Grace and McKee in central midfield, Crook on the right, Burns on the left, and McGlynn and Bander up top. with a bench of McCann, Smith, Henderson, Keane and McElwain. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So I thought it was very worthwhile pointing out to the players that at the moment, Loughgall are sitting in 4th in the form guide and we've dropped down to 9th, even though we're 3rd in the league. Our recent form hasn't been fantastic. Time to step things up a little bit and match them if we can. We're at home, so I'm hopeful for a good performance purely for that reason, really. But they sit, as I say, 1 place behind us, 1 point behind us. Can we get that gap opened up with them having a game in hand? We'll have to wait and see, but an early chance. We get a chance to get into the strikers there. We do make it that far. A header over the top for the second striker to run onto didn't quite work out, and they've countered. That is a brilliant, brilliant challenge by Dealey in the box. Well, at least I thought it was. And they gave a penalty for it. It wasn't a decent challenge at all then. He went through the player to get the ball, it seems. I thought it was just a really crunching, good challenge, and they cleared the ball away. But ultimately, the penalty was given. They've taken it, and it's a really bad start. 1 minute 50 on the clock or whatever it was, and they get a penalty, and they get a goal, and they go 1-0 up in the game early doors. Not the start that we are looking for at all against one of our absolute direct rivals. We need really as much as we can to hold them out and get back in this game. Now, actually, we're 20 minutes in. We've got a couple of shots on goal and a couple on target. So have they. So we're still in the match. We're still, competing hard. We've had a little bit more possession. They've picked up a couple of yellow cards in their back line. So that's not too bad for us. Here's a chance for us. Down the left-hand side, Burns crosses it very deep to Crook. Gets it across the box, but they clear it only to our defensive area. Armstrong picks it up. Carey, just come back from an injury himself, Carey. It's good to have him back, the right fullback. Have we got a penalty? Please give us a penalty. You've got to match it up, surely. And they do. We got through in the box. The player in the box was sandwiched by 2 players, I think. Burns steps up for the penalty, makes it 1-1 after half an hour. But yes, Carey, right fullback. Smith has been playing there recently. He's done pretty well. But Carey was almost my first choice right back if I could get him in the team. But he's been injured for the last little while. So it's good to have him back as we go 1-1 after half an hour. And that's pretty good. I'm pleased about that. We put the pressure on them a little bit. We had a couple of attempts at getting it into the strikers. Finally, one worked out, got one of them in the box, bearing down on goal, and the defenders sandwiched him a little bit and caused him a problem. And we go back into 3rd position. We dropped down to 4th because of the fact that they were beating us. We've gone back into 3rd with a draw currently. They've dominated the chances. 9 shots a goal, 8 on target. That's impressive in itself. But we've had 4 and 3, so we're not doing too bad. We've also completed 84% of the passing and got 57% of the possession. So ultimately, I'm pretty happy with how we're playing in a lot of ways. We just need to be that little bit more dynamic in front of goal, create a couple more chances and hope we can get onto the end of 1 or 2 of them. Let's see what we can do here. So, can't be overly critical of them. They've come back into the match. We were 1-0 down. We're now at 1-1, so that's not too bad. Let's say we've been unlucky so far. So, let's go hands in the pockets. Been unlucky so far. Give them that thought process that the game is theirs for the taking, really. We're just going to up our mentality into positive just a little bit, and we'll go into the shouts and fire them up in the early stages of this second half and just see if we can get properly going. We haven't, though, to be honest. It's them that have. They've had another couple of shots at goal already early in this second half, and they go straight over the top. That's really very poor from my side. I'm really, really disappointed by that. It was just a launched clearance by the goalkeeper, and you would normally expect the defence to find their line, stand on that line where the ball drops, and head the ball back. But they were completely caught out by it. The striker was the only one that read the flight of the ball, got onto the end of it, slotted it home for a very, very simple goal for him, really. As I say, I'm really disappointed by that, but Banda might do the same to them, and he should have. He turned just at the point where that ball was going to land and managed to lose the defender and then couldn't put the ball away. And again, they've gone long, and again, their striker has won that ball. And again, they've worked a chance, and this time it goes over the top of the bar. Some good defensive blocks, etc. in that moment of play for us. It's a real long ball game all of a sudden, isn't it? But our guys are getting through in those situations and not putting it away. It's that simple. We've had a couple of them now. We've regained the possession and worked it nicely to get back down the end of the pitch. Cross comes in, McGlynn, and he couldn't put it on target, unfortunately. I think possibly had it been, the goalkeeper might have stopped it, but a good chance again goes begging, and again they're going to go long with their goal kick, and probably our defence are going to go and have a cup of tea while the striker gets on to the end of it. They do indeed. That's not good enough. Not having that anymore. Which one is playing worst out of our two central defenders? It's obvious to see, isn't it? Both are having a really bad game, but Dealey on a 6.2, and he's anxious. It's not great. So, unfortunately, even though he's not totally fit, McCann is going to have to come in, because the partnership between him and Armstrong has been excellent this season in general terms. And we can't keep having that ball over the top that's going to make us struggle so much. We've also got Banda in our strike force that's not having a good day either, as one of the reasons why we've had a couple of shots at goal. So we're going to take him out as well. Early changes, because we've identified that there's a problem and it needs to change, really. So we're going to play that. We're going to go back in. We're not going to change anything of the style just yet. We've still got half an hour to play, but a couple of early personnel changes hopefully just focuses the mind just a little bit. McGlynn through on goal. That is a lot better. That's what we want. We won that first ball. The ball goes through for the second striker, McGlynn, even easy for me to say. Good ball up. Banda holds up the ball. Well, it doesn't hold it up at all. He heads it on very nicely. Do we keep him on? That's an interesting question. He's just answered the critics, really, by getting involved in that game. So we're going to say no to that, but we are going to pause it again and make that defensive change. So we'll go back in, make that defensive change. You can see all of a sudden he's up to a 6.8, so he's improved by quite a bit by getting involved in that goal, but can't really sub him off at that point. That seems unfair. So we'll just make the defensive one. And we'll go back into the game with, just under half an hour to go still. We've come back into it, 2-2. Can we get a few more opportunities at goal and properly put them to the sword in the second part of this second half? We're going to go into the shouts and demand more from the team. Keep them on the front foot, keep them honest, keep them working hard. 15 minutes to play, and it's a Loughgall opportunity into the box. It was a good chance as well. Defensively, again, we were all at 6s and 7s a little bit, caused our own problems a bit. We're going to pause the game with just over 10 minutes to play, make our third and final substitution, and I think we're going to have to take off Grace in midfield. We'll put Henderson on instead. He can go in and play in that role. That's fine. So just in terms of tactics, we're in the positive mentality. You'll remember that we've completely clean slated this. So it's really simple, hardly any instructions at all, just to get this team playing. But we're going to have to change it up a little bit. So I think we'll go slightly longer than we have been, reduce the pace a little bit, dribble less, shoot on sight. Let's go into transition. Let's see if we can press them just a bit. We're not going to put on the full like gegenpress, but we're going to try and press them just a little bit. So we'll up that as well there, and we will engage them slightly higher up if we can. I'm going to take a chance now that we've got both our proper centre backs in there in terms of our regular ones. We're going to raise our defensive line as well. I don't think they've been going over the top so much since McGlynn came into the McCann came into the side. Too many mooks. So we will confirm that, and then we will go and continue on with the match. We've got 10 minutes to find something, if we can, to take the 3 points, which will be really valuable to us if we can. The time is ticking really quite quickly, though. We've now got 5 minutes left, and it's our goal kick. So we send it long. We win the second ball, which is good. McKee on the ball in midfield. Burns getting involved. Banda as well. McGlynn through on goal, get held up by the defender, and then they nick the ball from him, and off they go on a counter-attack over the top. Was he offside there? It felt a little bit offside to me. Did he hold his run brilliantly well, or is that just my imagination going wild with me? Let's see how this one goes. So it's Ford on the ball. Doran gets involved. Nope, there is a player over on that far side. I think it's Armstrong. I can't remember which is McCann or Armstrong, but one or other of them was keeping everybody on side. And with 4 minutes to go, we go 3-2 down, unfortunately, and that's not good timing at all. There's hardly any chance for us to get back in the match, and it looks like we're going to lose 3 points. A 2-2 draw wouldn't have been terrible. A 3-2 loss is pretty bad at this point, really. I'm disappointed with our defence. Those early chances that Loughgall got over the top were really bad for us. And in that third goal, they did something similar, really. So we're going to have to say that we're not happy. So we'll thrash the arms. I'm not pleased with the result. It's going to drop us down the league a little bit. It still keeps us in that top 6, of course, which is what our original intention for this section of the season was. So that's fine. But we just drop out of those playoff places now, and Loughgall has still got a game in hand over us. Not ideal, that one. A 3-2 loss. So this slightly poor run of form just at the very end of this section of the league continues, unfortunately. A draw and a couple of losses to finish off. Wasn't quite the form that I wanted moving into that top half group as we move forward into the second half of the season. We've got H&W Welders in the cup already drawn, so that's coming up soon. But also, by the time you and I come back, we'll have a whole new list of fixtures at the bottom of this schedule page with these top half dozen clubs in the league continuing to play each other. There's going to be some tricky matches in there, and I think we've demonstrated over this last month or so of game time that ultimately we're not in the best of forms. We dropped down the form guide to about 8th or 9th in the league. And so we've got to up our game to compete with this lot as we move forward into this second part of the season. But we're going to try our best. We're going to see if we can regain that playoff spot. It might slightly be beyond us. You never know. At this point, it feels like it might. But we're going to give it a good go. So come back next episode. I'll have a whole new load of fixtures to play through at that point, and we'll play one of them, whichever one I decide to do, and we will see whether we can get back into that playoff promotion spot. We shall see. But thank you for joining me today. Really disappointing result in the end. I think I'm still really, really disappointed with my defence. I thought they played dreadfully at times. Just those couple of moments where the ball was coming over the top and they couldn't reverse back and keep in line with that line that the ball was going to impact. That's really poor defending. But anyway, there we go. One of those things. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and join my United City community. The more the merrier. Click that like button on this particular episode. That will help me get seen by more people. Until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.